In this lesson, we will cover what analytical pipe connections are and how to create analytical pipe connections. In this project, water source heat pumps have been placed on the second floor and condenser water supply and return systems have been created. The mains for these piping systems have also been run. Currently, if I select one of the mains and scroll down in the Properties palette to the Mechanical Flow section, you can see that the flow is 0. In order to get the pipe to read the flow of the equipment, there needs to be a connection between the equipment and the piping. Instead of placing physical pipe, you can place an analytical pipe connection. This will allow the piping to see the equipment and be able to read and calculate the flow. To place analytical pipe connections, you can first select the equipment that you want to connect to piping. In this case, I'll select one of the water source heat pumps. And then in the contextual ribbon, in the Create panel, click Analytical Connections. This opens the Select Connectors dialog because there are several pipe connectors on this equipment. This dialog works a little bit differently than some of the other dialogs in Revit. You can simply click to select and deselect the listings in the dialog. In this case, we'll select the water supply in and then click OK. And then I'll select the condenser water supply pipe, and when I do, an analytical pipe connection is placed. We'll do that one more time. I'll select the water source heat pump, click Analytical Connections, and this time we'll select Water Return Out and click OK, and then select the condenser water return main pipe. And another analytical pipe connection is placed. Now, when I select the piping and take a look at the flow, you can see that it is now picking up the flow from the equipment, and other values are also calculated. If I switch to the Piping Systems contextual ribbon, once again you can see that the flow is there and other parameters are calculating. Let's do this for another heat pump, and I'll show you one more thing. When I click Analytical Connections, this time I will select both the water supply in and water return out, and then click OK. And now, when I select each pipe, an analytical connection is placed. And so you can do that when you have only one connector that matches the system classification of one of the pipes you're connecting to. You wouldn't want to select all four because then Revit wouldn't know which hydronic supply to connect to. But in this case, since we have a hydronic supply and a hydronic return, we can do that and select both of them, and Revit will be able to match them up. Once again, the analytical pipe connection allows us to make a connection to the piping without placing actual pipe components. Lastly, you can select an analytical pipe connection and you can adjust any of the parameters that are available, and then you can also click Edit Type and adjust the pressure drop if you need to adjust that as well to account for some type of connection kit or whatever else is being used to connect the equipment to the piping. At this point, I've connected all the water source heat pumps that are on the system to the pipe mains. And now, when I take a look at the piping system, now the static pressure is calculated because everything is connected. So, in summary, analytical pipe connections are a quicker way to get your piping systems to calculate all the parameters without having to place physical connections.